Second question. Someone read Mark 6:34, and someone else read Ezekiel 34:1 through 24. Well, someone's gonna read a lot of scripture. The other one's gonna read one scripture.
Ezekiel 34. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to the sheep, woe to the shepherds of Israel, who only takes care of themselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the cud, clothe yourself with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays, or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. So they were scattered because there was no shepherd. And when they were scattered, they became food for all the wild animals. My sheep wander over all the mountains and on every high hill. They were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declared the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacked a shepherd, and so have been plundered and has become food for all the wild animals, and become my shepherd, and because my shepherd did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves rather than for my flock. The first one.
We're going to 24.
Okay. This is what the sovereign Lord said. I am against the shepherd and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock so that the shepherd can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself will search for my sheep and look after them, as a shepherd looks for his scattered flock when he is with them. So will I look for my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they are scattered. On the day of clouds and darkness, I will bring them out from the nations and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them into their own land. I will pasture them on the mountains of Israel, in the ravine and all the settlements of the land. I will tend them in a good pasture, and the mountains height of Israel will be their grazing land. There they will lay down in good grazing land, and there they will feed in a rich pasture on the mountains of Israel. I myself will tend my sheep and have them lay down, declared the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring the strays. I will bound up the injuries and strengthen the weak. But the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. As for you, my flock, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will judge between one sheep and another, and between rams and goats. It is not enough for you to feed on the good pasture. Must you also trample the rest of your pastures with your feet? It is not enough for you to drink clear waters. must you also muddy the rest with your feet? Must my flock feed on what you have trampled and drink what you have muddied with your feet? Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord said to them. See, and myself will judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep, because you shove with flank and shoulders, butting all the weak sheep with your horns until you have driven them away. I will save my flock, and they will no longer be plundered. I will judge between one sheep and another. I will place over them one sheep, my servant David, and he will tend them and be their shepherd. I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken.
All right, now someone read Mark 6:34.
Mark 6:34. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things.
All right, the question asks, how did Jesus fulfill the prophet's promise, the prophet Ezekiel's promise? How did Jesus fulfill the promise? You can go as in depth as you want to go.
Here I can say Jesus showed the purity of God and his purity to people. It's so powerful, the word that we read. I can say Jesus show us in two ways. First, in the scripture that we read, God is talking to the shepherd and the sheep. The shepherd that is taking care of themselves, or the shepherd who is taking advantage on the sheep, and in the other end we have the sheep who doesn't recognize the shepherd, or who refuse to follow the shepherd that was sent to them. So I can say it's like in the beginning, the scripture that we read, Jesus, God, Jesus, as it says, showing purity of God, is showing that God, Jesus is in charge. God is the one who's supposed to be in charge of everything. He sent Jesus, and Jesus sent, when he feed those people, he want to show them that I am the one that should be in charge. And when I ask you to do something, you need just to obey and go do whatever I ask you to do. And this is the same, like we just read. He asked the shepherd to feed the sheep. And this is the big problem that we have nowadays as a Christian. Where are those shepherds who are following the voice of the one that sent them, who are accountable of feeding the sheep? Who are those sheep who want to follow the purity of God, or God the Almighty? Who are those who are trying to replicate what they receive from God to God's people? So those scriptures here are so powerful. Look, when we are reading, it's come inside of me, and I tell to myself, oh God, where are we? What I love in this scripture is what? This scripture show us where we're supposed to be versus where we are. we're supposed to be where this scripture bring us, whether it's come to feeding the sheep or following the instruction that we receive for the one who sent us. So
Yeah.
Jesus could only feed those people because he has a compassion, and he sent his disciple. And as people that receive the assignment from God, they could just say, let's do it. The way that he asked us to do it is not the way that we do today. We try to do things our way. That's why we always, be in a problem now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Oh, before I go in, anyone else? I like that, Victor. You said a lot of things I want to say. Anyone else about how Jesus fulfilled Ezekiel's promise?
I think because when I was listening, it was really blessing to me to hear, because that put a whole different picture in my heart, in my mind, about Jesus Christ. He is the good shepherd, and he will lead us and bring us comfort, and he's never forsake us, and he fulfilled everything that God said he would do in the person of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
And it just shows that he's never gonna just leave, like he doesn't tire of us, even though, sheep are not the smartest creatures, don't always make the right choices. But it's a responsibility that he takes seriously. Like he could have just said, yes, send them on, I'm tired. I've been dealing with these folks all day. He does not get tired. He said, no, I need to feed them. Not only do I need to meet their physical need, I needed to meet their spiritual need. And he did both. And he did it in abundance. He didn't just give you just enough, he gave you more than what they need. But that's how Jesus is.
One other thing I got out of this, while Ezekiel is speaking, he's giving us hope for a better tomorrow. All the things that we've gone through, in the end, we know that Jesus is going to gather all of us together. Right now, we are scattered, we are trampled, but this is a promise that Ezekiel is giving to us today. And for us to get an understanding, it's not going to always be like this. There's going to be a change when the coming of Jesus Christ. He's put so much in here talking about how we've been trampled, how we have been plundered, and how all the things that has happened to us. But Ezekiel has given us a promise of hope.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that too. Yeah, I always love this particular chapter of Ezekiel, one of the messianic verses. The one thing I like about it, he says what good shepherds should do versus the shepherds that were in Israel at the time. He also explains what good sheep should do versus some of the sheep that were there. And that's an important difference, because everyone wants Jesus to save them, but no one wants Jesus to lead them or correct them. What did Ezekiel say about some of the fat sheep and the strong sheep? He said, the Lord said, no, I'm gonna get rid of them too. The sheep that would eat well, the ones that come to church, the ones that have the right quote upbringing, the ones that have the opportunities, and did some of them. Yeah, they succeeded. They got fat. They also trampled on the opportunities of others too, to be sure they were the only ones that had it. And Jesus mentioned that's also, he called people like that rich. You may not have a lot of money, but you had ample opportunity. And you use your opportunity to get your advantage, but you also belittle others who try to do the same thing, or you made sure you burnt the bridges so others couldn't benefit as well. So in Ezekiel, God said, I got some against those sheep too. Those that solely benefited from my blessings, and be sure that no one else can have them. So we have to be sure in our successes, in our victories that we've gotten from the Father, that we don't stifle others' chances of getting those same blessings. And the biggest thing, because I think is when characters dying in the world right now, the biggest thing that Jesus had, what did Jesus do when he saw the 5,000?
He had compassion on them. He cared.
Compassion. That is the one characteristic that is dying on the vine right now in the world. Compassion. Look at others, not in judgment, not trying to correct them, not trying to tell them, well, this is why you didn't say. No. Look at them and have just simple compassion. Put yourself in their shoes. That's also what a good shepherd does. A good shepherd sees the world from the eyes of his flock. And like Dean said, you can't punish a sheep for being dumb. It's what they are. They are not bright. So, but you can't punish them for it. You can teach them. You can train them. Some of them will do. Some of them just gonna be hard headed. You don't beat them and chastise them and strain them and strangle them like the bad shepherds mentioned in Ezekiel. None but oppression for the dumb sheep that don't do right. Yeah, we all have fallen short. Yeah, I get that. But there's no reason just to constantly berate people because they ain't got common sense like us. Because they don't go to church like us. Like they don't even know the books of the Bible. They don't even know 23rd Psalm. You cannot just berate people because they don't do the church stuff that we do, because they don't see the gospel that those fat sheep have seen for a long time. We can't just ride them just because they're not as strong as we perceive ourselves to be. So yeah, we have to watch out that we are being the good shepherds that we're supposed to be, and that we're being the good sheep the Lord has called us to be as well. Because we don't want punishment for either extreme. Question 3 is a good one. It says, why did Jesus give the bread and fish to the disciples to give to the people? What was Jesus trying to teach the disciples? And what is the lesson for us today? Why didn't Jesus work the soup line?
I say it because he is the one who is in charge. And the disciples need to understand that they are nothing without the instruction that Jesus gave them. They can do nothing without the assignment that God gives them. This was do that and learn from what you are doing. And the impact of that is what we are living today. This verse that we read, the one Isaiah, is still applying to us as a church, as a team, as a people, as preacher, as children of God. Can we understand that Jesus here is the one who call and tell them? What are also like here is what? Everybody ate. He asked them to eat, and they ate. Everyone ate.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
great is this compassion, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone ate. Go ahead, Janine.
I was just saying, and the disciples had to get out of their own head because they were very concrete. They were like, what the first some group said, we ain't got no food, send them away. Another group was like, well, all we got is this little amount. That's not gonna be enough. He had to show them that whatever it was, God would give the increase. That's why he prayed before he gave it out. because he knew that God will provide. It don't matter what it looks like, because that's what we get into trouble, what it looked like. And what my mind has seen in this situation, when it looked like this, we all make these affirmations. When this has, when X equals this, then Y is going to equal this. But sometimes X can equal that, and Y will equal 53.7. It's just, and it don't make sense, but God, it makes sense to God. He had to get them out of their own minds.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
also had to show the disciples that they needed to be servants.
Yeah.
He also was teaching them that you got to learn how to interact with all kinds of people, because I'm sure there was people that was sick and all the things that was wrong. He was teaching them, regardless of what condition a man is in, you still supposed to have compassion and to reach out to them. So I think he was teaching them how to interact with everybody, because I'm sure there was some situation they probably didn't want to have nothing to do with. Somebody might have been sick, they might have been afraid of them, or somebody been acting like a lunatic. But he was teaching them, regardless of what situation you're in, you have to reach out to your fellow man.
Okay.
Also
Ms. Lottie?
teaching endurance and perseverance, I think, because they had been with the people all day long. They were tired. But Jesus wasn't tired. He was still like, we still gotta help them. So you can't give up just because it's hard and I've been working all day long.
Ms. Lottie?
Yeah, I think the thing I was getting at is the principle that we have to. He put it this way: he says, you're going to be able to do this thing, but you're going to have to do it through me." And we get that scripture, "Through Christ, I can do all things."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's yeah, all those lessons Jesus was taught with a simple act. Like Dean said correctly, the disciples berated Jesus. Philip told them, "Dude, if we work for a year, we could feed all these people." And the whole point is like Dean was saying, like everyone was saying, we have to get out of the Lord's way. We have to get out our natural minds out of His way when it comes to provision, when it comes to obstacles, when it comes to challenges. We have to get out of the Lord's way and let Him do what He do. All Jesus told them to do was to obey. Now, did Jesus single out the Pharisees and Sadducees that were there? I'm sure they were in the crowd too. Did He tell them to feed everyone but them? You think there were some drunk people in the crowd too? People that were high? Could it be some pimps and women of the night there too? I'm sure there were a lot of people that either disagreed with Jesus, hated Jesus, or were just along for the ride. He didn't single out enemies. He said, "Go feed them. Hand this to them." Some of them didn't like this type of fish. Some of them, I need some butter on my bread. Some people were complaining, "Well, I want a better seat. I'm on the rock on the grass over there." None of it was mentioned. It just says, "Go feed them." Go ahead, Janine.
And I think the other good point is he broke it down into manageable groups, So it was 12 disciples. He broke it down so that you just had charge of these people. You ain't have to worry about feeding 5,000. Just do that 50, You do this 50 and make sure, because sometimes if you feed, 1,000 people, you're bound to miss somebody. But God don't give you nothing that's gonna be impossible. You just had charge of this 50. Now you might have finished that 50 and had to do another 50, but at least you got that 50 covered. It was manageable. It's organized.
Yeah, that's another point I'm going to get to. That He didn't feed 5,000 all at once. Everybody get in line. It's time to eat. No, He said, "Y'all get in groups." He told them pretty much, "Police yourselves, get in groups, and we'll take care of it." Yeah, I like it also, Zane, that we cannot get or let ourselves get overwhelmed with the magnitude of the problem. I used to tell my students in math, they would see a math problem that'd be like like 3 lines long. Oh my God, I don't know what to do all these symbols. I was like, don't worry about that. Take one piece at a time. Take one piece at a time and break it down. And pretty soon, you take care of the whole problem. All you've done is obeyed. We should do likewise. We should stop trying to uh, uh, get world peace. Stop trying to solve hunger. Stop trying to make everyone happy. No, just take care of the group you got in front of you. Let the Lord take care of the magnifying and the multiplying. You just take care of the ones He set in front of you. Do the job He gave you. Just do that. So we can do that if we can just focus on the task He set before us without judging, without trying to figure out in our natural mind how to do it. No, just obey and be the shepherds He's called us to be as well. And we could actually be better sheep and shepherds then. All right, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for Bible study this evening.